A Cards with Michael production.
What's up, YouTube? Cards with Michael here. Today, we're doing part 2, Oath of the Gatewatch. If you haven't watched Battle for Zendikar, my storytime video talking about the original Zendikar plane and some of that story, how the Eldrazi came to be and how they were trapped and how somehow they got freed, go check out the video. The card should be popping up right here. But yeah, if you're here, already watched that, this is part 2, Oath of the Gatewatch. Now, where did we leave off? All right, where did we leave off in Battle for Zendikar? Well, of course, there are Slippy Slips for all the sponsors. What happened was the group of planeswalkers right here. This is the Gatewatch. What happened was they had successfully trapped Ulamog into a Hedron network. All right. And then a big bad guy, Obnixilis, comes, and not only does he free Ulamog, he also regains his spark. Okay, that's a story for another day. He regains his spark, and he takes the remaining energy, and he awakens Kozilek. So before Oath of Gatewatch, we were only worried about Ulamog the Titan. By the time we get to Oath of Gatewatch, we're now worried about Ulamog and Kozilek. And Emrakul somewhere. We won't talk about that. But yes, so that's where we're at. All right. So right after that happens, right after Obnixilis does that, Nissa, right here, hero of Zendikar, she starts to fight him, and immediately she's basically put down. Obnixilis is so powerful now. Nissa is not as powerful, I guess, at this time. Jace tries to step in. Well, first, Jace tries to do some mind tricks. The story part of this is actually really cool because, hey, for Leslie, 2 packs, it's actually told in Obnixilis' perspective, which is kind of fun. And what happens is, Jace is no match for Obnixilis either because, the villain sometimes has to win. And Gideon steps in, this guy right here. This is what Jace looks like, by the way. And Chandra, and he tries to beat him up, and it doesn't work either. And basically, all of them get, they all get defeated. He takes them down to a cave and starts torturing them. And then Chandra comes and saves the day. Sweet, female heroine. And afterwards, after they kind of, the 4 of them combine their powers and they basically beat away Obnixilis, they realize, hey guys, we need to do the oath. And that's kind of this hand gesture that they did. And we'll actually see cards called like Oath of Jace and Oath of Chandra in a bit. Those are rare, so we might not see them today. But yeah, that is how the Gatewatch is born, and that is why the packs are called Oath of the Gatewatch. Notably, this entire battle, the Hedron network alignment and everything, happens at a place called Seagate, which is think of it like, I don't know, the New York of Zendikar. It is considered the most cultured, the most commercial, the biggest, most civilized city in Zendikar, located in Tazim, one of the continents where a lot of the battling is happening. Here we have a foil rare to start things off, Tyrant of Valakut. All right, and so, the planeswalkers decide that, hey, look, we do need, there's a little bit of a weird foiling here. I don't know if you can see, but the edge here has a little bit of foil or a little line, but there's no line here. So that's kind of interesting. But anyways, what was I saying? This card also showcases one of the mechanics of this. So this Oath of Gatewatch was built to be played as two-headed giant. So there's actually mechanics that really favored two-headed giant. One of them is Surge, which is you can cast spells for a cheaper cost if you or a teammate has cast another spell this turn. So it does kind of work if you're just playing with yourself. If you're just playing as a one-on-one match. But it is most optimal, with your other teammates. So that's kind of cool. That is very, very cool, actually. The other ability that is in Oath of Gatewatch is Support, and that is straight up putting a +1/+1 counter on a target creature, but it has to be individual target creatures. So if you have Support 6, but you only have one other creature that you want to target, you can only put one +1/+1 counter on another creature. And then the last mechanic is something called Cohort, which actually we might have seen a card that had it. right. Never mind. We will see one soon. We will see one soon. All right, Leslie, pack number 2 for you. And another cool thing is the return of this type of mana, this diamond mana, all right, otherwise known as colorless mana. So up until then, things were not represented this way, but after Oath of Gatewatch, we have this diamond symbol, which is used in costs and casting costs. So activated abilities and casting costs. All right. So here we have a card that does have that as a casting cost. And basically it means you need to use colorless mana to cast this. You can't use colored mana, for example. And hey, we do have an ally here, Mina and Den Wildborn. Very cool. And a little island. Okay, so what happens next? The Gatewatch decides that they are going to be all friends and teamwork. All right, once again, the Gatewatch, because they were protecting Seagate, which becomes another important thing later, of course. Randy, we got 5 packs for you. What was the next step? Well, they do throw a little interlude before this, and that is Kiora tries to beat Ulamog herself. Okay, where's the... here we go. Here's Cohort. And it's actually the card, the art of the playmat. Very snazzy. Yeah, so what happens is... well, Kiora is unsuccessful in beating Ulamog, and she even calls this really big legendary octopus called Lorthos, and Lorthos gets basically killed. Because Kozilek makes his quick appearance, and Kiora realizes, dang it, I lost. She's all sad, and the moral of the story is don't fight Eldrazi Titans by yourself. So, there's that. Wait, did I even talk about the mechanic? I didn't. Okay, so Cohort. The way it works is tap an untapped ally you control, you gain 2 life. So basically, if you only allies have Cohort, and it's basically this ally and that ally working together. If you think about it, you tap this one and you tap another one to Cohort, and it's to give you that sense of working together. All right. So here we go. Wastes were a basic land introduced in this in these packs, and they're very snazzy and cool. There are 2 types of wastes, representing the 2 kind of like this is the aftermath after one of the Titans comes. This in particular is what Ulamog, the trail of destruction that Ulamog leaves. Kozilek is kind of cool. This is like lattice-like feel. These are the ruins of Oran Reef. All right. And a swamp. Of course, there's still full art lands from Battle for Zendikar in these Oath of Gatewatch packs. Each one has 1. All right. And yeah, so where are we with the story? Okay, so Kiora does that, not successful. The Gatewatch becomes a thing. And basically, the whole point of this story is teamwork, really. They meet Ulamog and Kozilek again at the Seagate, of course. Where else? Oh, look how cute this little thing is. Hedron Crawler. And another waste. Wastes do appear, I think it's like 1 in every 3 packs will have a waste. They appear more common than other commons, but again, you know, there's a lot of commons. Here we have Oath of Jace. Look at that. Like I said, we do have each one has an enchantment. It's always legendary enchantment, and they encourage you. They have an ability when it enters the battlefield, and another ability at the beginning of your upkeep. Or if you, basically another ability that benefits if you have a lot of planeswalkers in play. Of course, that benefit is very, very, you know, just gravy. If you can have a planeswalker in play, most of the time it's already really nice. All right, so yeah, here we go. The Eldrazi Titan, they meet the Gatewatch. Actually, the Gatewatch meets the Eldrazi Titan. The Eldrazi Titans don't really care, honestly. At the Seagate again. And what happens next is, well, they really want to destroy the Eldrazi, but you know, Jace has been told by Ugin, don't do that. Don't do that. Oh, Thought-Knot's here. Another thing that Oath of Gatewatch introduced were these really powerful Eldrazi's. Now, they all had colorless mana, which is supposed to be a drawback, but it ended up being almost like a benefit because, like, there are a lot of older lands and also a card called Eldrazi Temple from the old Zendikar block that were really, really efficient at casting these cards. And so in modern, it's like what? It was like a season of Eldrazi Winter or something like that. Where you know, Eldrazi cards backed up by Thought-Knot Seer, but there was a bunch of other ones were played so often. There was like the real meta back in the day. Now, They have since banned one of the most powerful cards, which was Eye of Ugin. Yeah, the deck still sees play. All right, so where was I getting at? Oh, okay. Seagate, the fight, the battle. What happens? Well, Nissa does a lot of the heavy duty lifting here. Like, she uses her power and she draws from the ley lines this this weird mystical power, and she's able to anchor the Eldrazi Titans into this like glyph that they made, and the glyph drains the power and forces the Eldrazi Titan and like really like sucks out all their physical manifestations. But as a result, the way the story represented this is that it just started raining Eldrazi. I'm definitely gonna have this art of the card in Grip of the Royal show up, because if you like, when I was playing that card in limited, I didn't realize what was happening. Oh, okay, that's a spoiler. We'll talk about that in a quick second. All right, let's finish the story, because that card was a spoiler to what happens next. All right, so Nissa anchors Eldrazi Titans into a glyph. It's literally raining Eldrazi, because Eldrazi just are like, they're just getting sucked into the world of Zendikar. All right, and all this time, Kiora has actually been helping them. She's been using her, she has like an aquatic power. Think of her as like, Aqua Woman. And she's been washing away Eldrazi left and right to keep Nissa and the Gatewatch kind of free of these little minions. By the way, Gideon's also fighting off the hordes of minions, in case you were wondering. Okay, that's his contribution here. Teamwork makes the dream work. She's watching her world literally get destroyed. It's raining Eldrazi. These Titans are like getting crushed, and as they're getting crushed, they're just taking parts of Zendikar with them. And she goes like, no, I can't do this anymore. Like, the cost of destroying these Eldrazi is the destruction of Zendikar. I can't have this. And she tries to interfere and tells Nissa, don't do this, and tries to like flood Nissa. And this is where Jace finally gets his ability to contribute. He stops Kiora, all right. But now we're in the heat of the moment. Nissa's struggling. She can't keep doing this. It's two big Titans, and she's the only one holding them in. Kiora's literally turned against them, all right. And Chandra's just looking at the situation, and she says, "Look, I can burn up these Eldrazi. Let me do it." And Jace is like, "No. I was told not to do this. I don't think it's a good idea." And Chandra's like, please, I can do it. And Jason just like in the heat of the moment says, all right, Chandra, you got to do it. We have no choice here. We have Eldrazi that are literally about to break free. And if you don't do it, we're going to be in trouble. And that's what happens. That is what happens right here. You see that is Chandra burning the two Titans. And well, long story short, she is successful. She does successfully burn the Eldrazi. Now, all right, what does that mean for the rest of us? Well, you see, Jace was told not to do that, all right? Jace was literally told not to do that. And by doing so, he did, upset some people, namely Ugin, one of the original, planeswalkers, if you still remember from Battle for Zendikar, who helped put these guys in Eye of Ugin prison. All right, next 4 packs are for you, Sid. And well, Ugin's like, hey, that wasn't a good idea. I told you not to do that. It, you don't really know what you're impacting. Like, you could be impacting time, space, travel, the multiverse, all this, all that stuff. Oh, look at that. This is the Eldrazi's, the 2 Eldrazi, leaving a ruin in their wake. Here's Kozilek leaving his like cool lattice, and that's Ulamog leaving this like bio whatever nonsense. All right. He's in quack. Oh, so the man lands were also reprinted, or not reprinted, but the new cycle, so green black, all the enemy ones were added into this set. And Jason's like, okay, that's you're right, I shouldn't have done that, but if you were there, you would have known that we were basically, it was either us or them, right? So the next step that they decide on, oh, I think this is the card, Grip of the Royal. Yes, here we go. Do you see? This is like raining Eldrazi. Look at that. This is what was happening when the Eldrazi were basically, getting kind of fallen from the sky because their mommy and daddy Titans were getting locked up. Oh, and perfect. Bonds of Mortality. This is the card I wanted to show. So this is actually Nissa on the glyph. Jace is helping protect her, and she's locking up the Titans. And from Randy, the Fall of the Titans. This is actually a mural. This is actually a two-parter. These two cards can be kind of stuck together. So that is actually really, really cool. I don't know what's wrong with the focus today, so my bad, guys. My bad on the focus. All right. And we'll keep going. Seagate Wreckage, okay. And this is, yeah, Seagate was destroyed multiple times, basically. All right, and again, we got Island and Octopus. And that's the story, guys. I kind of told it a little bit earlier, but just because of that spoiler. That rare spoiler that Randy had. Relief Captain, so support was one of the mechanics. Bailoff Pulp. Reflector Mage. And here we go, our first Mythic. Now, everyone thought this card would actually take it off in control decks, but the meta didn't really support cards like this. Although, you know, it was played as a 1-of or a 2-of, just because it was so powerful. Look at that, 7 mana for 5/5, can't be countered, flying hexproof, instants and sorceries you control can't be countered. Like, it was the end-all, be-all. Except, format, like, one of the best decks actually used cards like Reflector Mage, and got a lot of graveyard recursion with the Zulaport. I forgot the Zulaport something mage. And you're like, you know, control decks just couldn't deal with that. Like, they would just lose life by the aristocrat decks and you know, not really do any work. This is Remorseless Punishment. This is basically showing that Ob Nixilis was punishing the Gatewatch. I don't know if you can tell. Is that even the Gatewatch? I don't even know. But he was definitely punishing them. Pretty sure it's the Gatewatch. It's like Gideon, Nissa, and Jace. Before that, Chandra came and saved them. And here we have a foil Cultivator drone. Very neat. Very neat. So Oath of the Gatewatch also had what we call expeditions in the packs. Oh, Jeff. All right, we got 13 packs. He told me something felt right about doing this sponsoring. So I hope it pans out. Oath of the Gatewatch also had expeditions, but they aren't as valuable in general as the Battle for Zendikar expedition lands. So Oath instead had so Battle for Zendikar had the 5 Tango lands, the new lands at the time, and 10 fetch lands and 10 shock lands. So it was actually pretty snazzy. It was really nice. But Oath of the Gatewatch actually has these like other lands that they kind of picked out. Like Wasteland and Strip Mine. It was a little bit more like that kind of stuff. So as a result, Oath of the Gatewatch boxes, in terms of sealed value, have actually always lagged behind Battle for Zendikar by a quite significant amount, actually. Eldrazi Mimic. All right. What else? Oh yeah, and also Oath of the Gatewatch is a secondary set. So in general, secondary sets usually second set of a block usually have had, you know, less print run because there's also less cards. Wandering Fumarole, and so that's another reason why I think their value doesn't appreciate as fast as other sets. And the worst thing, I guess, about Oath of the Gatewatch is the lack of real money cards, and that's kind of one of the things that has kept it relatively low value, and then relatively low price. But I think it's one of the most investable boxes in the year 2020. So keep that in mind. The foil Crumbling Vestige, and that's just because it is one of the lottery sets. And if you look at any of the lottery sets, Kaladesh, Aether Revolt, Amonkhet, Hour of Devastation, they've all aged really, really well. And whoa. Oh, okay. Thought that was a misprint. Endbringer, of course, this is actually playable in Legacy, just because the soul lands, like City of Traders and Ancient Tomb, are able to play this a little bit faster, and it's very, very big clock that lets you also draw cards. It's very powerful. All right, well, we'll keep opening. Hopefully we get some goodies. Did you guys ever play this set? Because like one thing that I forgot to mention is this is actually my favorite set ever in Limited. I am a 5-color aficionado. Hey, we have a foil rare, Eldrazi Applicator. This was actually used in some decks that were really, really effective. Nice little surprise card that was really good. And a foil Seagate Wreckage. That is snazzy. Look at that. Snazzy. Yeah, so I actually I force 5-color, but in this set, because wastes are basically another, it's not another color of mana, but it is an additional mana type, basically. Well, well, oh, this is one of my favorite cards to play limited too. Even in 5-color, I would draft this card relatively high because it is just such a powerful combat trick. Like these type of combat tricks can actually yield 2-for-1s, 3-for-1s, or just win you the game. Grasp of Darkness, of course, is also really powerful. Surprisingly, not as powerful in Core 2021. But yeah, it was an insane removal trick in that set. Oh, hey, we have Invert of Truth. These were bulk mythics for a long time before Thassa's Oracle became a thing in Pioneer. And obviously that has still remained a thing. Yeah, I remember someone spec'd on these a long time ago. I don't think it ever came to fruition. And a foil Prophet of Distortion. Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, so I would force like 6-color. That was like that's what I used to call it, right? Like forcing 6-color. That was my favorite thing to do. That was my favorite thing to do. Didn't always win, but felt great. I love the allies. Actually, the playmat that I have and the first ally that I showed was a really high pick for me because it could easily gain you like 20 life, like 10 life in these games. These games are relatively slow. Unlike Triple Battle for Zendikar, Oath of Gatewatch kind of slowed things down a little. It did introduce more Eldrazi cards that you could draft, and this was one of the better lands too, because it could tap for 6 colors of mana, right? It could tap for the colorless, and it could tap for any 1 mana of your choice. So I actually really like drafting Unknown Shores. All right, blue-red, of course, this is a time period where this card, Storm Chaser Mage, was definitely not that great. Blue-red wasn't that good. It's a recent thing for blue-red to actually get the goodies and be strong and limited. Back in those days, Wizards are still trying to figure it out. And I think blue-red is going to be one of the strongest archetypes moving forward, especially if you have modal cards that can be lands and spells. Like that's just going to straight up help decks that care about spells, you know? But when I say spells, I mean instants or sorceries. Speaking of blue-red, Jory and Ruin Diver, whenever you cast your second spell each turn, draw a card. It was like okay, like sometimes you drew a card, sometimes it was just a 3-mana 2/3. Jorian also plays a part in the story. So does Mina and Den. But I've kind of omitted that, abridged it out. Basically, Jorian, when Kiora, loses that first time, the moral of the story was that teamwork makes the dream work, and if you can help it, don't fight Eldrazi Titans by yourself. She also lost her Bident, which she stole from Thassa, and that's a separate story, of course. And Jorian, the Ruin Diver, helps her get it back. So that's kind of her help in the story. All right. Can we get that expedition? Oh, Oath of Nissa. I love this card so much. All right. And what is this? Okay. Of course, this is one of those cards, right? It's 1 green mana. You get to look at the top 3, reveal a creature, land, planeswalker, put that in your hand, and then the most important line, you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast planeswalker spells. I don't know about you guys, but that's the kind of jank I like. 5-color Super Friends. Oath of Nissa was integral to that. Like I wish there was a format where you can start with that turn 1 in your hand every single game. All right. Boom. Captain's Clause. And no expedition. I am sorry, Jeff. Hopefully we hit some goodies along the way. But yeah, no expedition today. Not in those 13. Steve, got a 1-pack snipe for you. All right, let's get to it. Okay, here we go. Boom, boom. A Sylvan Advocate. Oh man, these cards were worth so much money back in the day. Sylvan Advocates. They were played in almost all of the green-based decks. The standard deck of choice that I ended up playing when I played Oath of Gatewatch was the ramp deck that used the Ulamog from Battle for Zendikar and Oath of Nissa and basically like explosive vegetation type effects. I didn't really do really well. I always qualified for these tournaments back in the day that were known as RPTQs or Regional Pro Tour Qualifiers, but I never did well in them because I always qualified by playing a limited format such as Sealed or Draft, and then the format of the actual RPTQ would be like Constructed, Modern, or Standard. Hey, nice little Reality Hemorrhage foil. I do miss the old foils because back in the day, foils were actually hard to obtain. So old foils are actually nice to have and nice and rare, there weren't no collector boosters back in the day. So like foils were actually cool and rare, and like the mythic foil was like really hard to get. Like you would get like one per case basically. But yeah, those days are gone. Like mythic foils are just basically foils that have like a 1.1 multiplier. Stonehaven Outfitter, all right. And 4 more packs. All right. Oh, World Breaker. This was played in that ramp deck. This card was super solid. It was just impossible to deal with because it was a 5/7 with reach. All right. And when it comes to play, you can exile target artifact, enchantment, or land. That's not irrelevant. And in the background, that is a hollowed fountain, by the way. There's I think. And then it was also recursive. You could sacrifice a land to return it back to your hand and then cast it again. And so it was just one of those ramp payoffs. It was extremely strong. And the incidental of just being able to exile an artifact, enchantment, or land was actually sometimes pretty good because you could play it as early as like turn 4 was possible with the right ramp. And that would, you know, that would really, you know, mess up some opponents, especially if you're on the play. Ooh, we did get a foil plains here. Nice. Snazzy. All right. And 2 more. And I do remember that deck vividly because I remember I had to play Jotty Offshoots to battle against the aggro decks. Oh man, back in the day. Matter Reshaper, another deck, that card that went straight as a 4-of into the modern Eldrazi deck that could play aggro, and like it was like an aggro mid-range value deck that just was super strong, had explosive turns, and it was just so strong. That was the main thing. All right, and no, that's actually pretty nice. A foil Warping Whale. This card is played in Legacy, so you know it's actually pretty solid. All right. So that is the packs for Steven and the last 5 packs for Rowan. I hope you guys had a good time watching this. These videos are obviously always a little bit longer than a real box break. These are not fast breaks, I would say. These are more story times with Michael. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Oh, I also hope that you learned something. Oh, this is called the Gatewatch. Oh, this is one of the historic parts. So this is them meeting the 2 Titans at the Sea Gate. This is the Gatewatch right here. Jace, Chandra, Gideon, and Nissa. Before the deed gets done. That is super cool. Card is actually not that great, but it is nice. Once you know the story, it is cool that you can appreciate some of the cards a little bit more. Yeah. All right. Deceiver form. This card was busted. If you could cast it, of course. But it would make some limited games go very quick. All right. Last 3 packs for Rowan. Haven't seen an expedition yet. Maybe we won't see one in this. Oh man, they're pretty rare. I think usually we see one in the case of 6. All right. Wow, this is the 3rd Tyrant of Valakut. We did see a foil one in pack 1. But yeah, all right, the last pack. Can we do it? Can we get there? It's always going to replace the basic. Oh, Reality Smasher. This was a really strong card. All right. No expeditions in this box, but a fun story time with Michael. Hope you guys had a good time. Like this video, give a little thumbs up if you did. And otherwise, I will see you guys on the next one.